I'm going to do a video here to show you how easy it is to replace the light fixture itself while it's hanging and when it's down, and also how to replace the voltage regulators on the back to swap one out in the event one goes bad. Let's pretend this light's hanging on the ceiling. All you really need is, for all of what I'm going to do, it's nice to have a little flathead screwdriver, a pair of wire strippers, some extra wire nuts, and a battery drill with a Phillips head bit. So pretending that this is hanging on the ceiling, you're on a ladder. You want to be careful because you don't want to damage the finish on the light, obviously, but this helps you get behind the light to get your finger in there. You might be able to get your finger in there without the screwdriver, but that allows you to pry it up just a little bit. And then what you want to do is you want to grab it and start to pull it out. You want to be very careful because these have spring clamps on them that are like a mouse trap. So if your fingers are under it in the wrong location, it's going to snap and crack you on the finger. You don't want that. So I grab them on the edges like this. See how that snapped out? Almost got my finger. It's not going to kill you, but it's not fun. So then you pull it out and you're going to notice a wire connection here. You just unscrew this little coupler and unplug it. 3-prong electrical connection that lines up just right. It's like in a triangle. 2 are closer than the other one that's further away, and there's a little notch in the actual wire fitting. You'll just line that back up, plug it in if you had to replace it. Screw this back tight. Then you tuck the wire up in. And then this can go in any way you want, basically. And what I do is I'll angle this in with this clamp like that, holding it in there. Push down. Push this clamp in. There you go. And now you have your full 90-degree tilt, 360-degree rotation recessed light changed in your high and tight or your Mitch or whatever lights I have that are named whatever. I'm going to pull the camera in closer and I'm going to show you how I swap out the voltage regulator. Okay, I'm not sure how your light is going to be configured because this light is not exactly the same, obviously, but it's going to be similar in some way. We're going to pretend that the voltage regulator in question that is not working is going to be this one, just for practice purposes. So you open this up, and inside, obviously you want the power off before you do any of this, just to be safe. Preferably take the light down also. You could do this hanging up, but I don't recommend it. Now, I pull these out a little bit, get a look in here, and you're going to see you have white wire connection, which is your neutral, a black wire connection, which is your hot, and then your ground connection, which will have one of these funky little slip-on connectors. They're the same as these, but just a little different. Now, what I recommend is you take your screwdriver, maybe even a pair of pliers or a hammer, whatever, and you're going to want to pry this wire clamp, this wire organizer up a little so that you have some more slack. You might want to do that with 2 of them just to free up your wire slack a little bit, because I try to get everything nice and taut in the light. So now we're going to act like this one's bad. And first thing I do is I'll take one of the wire nuts off. I'll take the other wire nut off. And then on this, you have to cut these because they slide up in and they don't slide back out. Cut them as close as you can, leaving yourself plenty of room left on this wire so that it's not too short. Then I separate all these wires. Everything's separated now. Pull these out. Now I'm going to take these two screws out. This voltage regulator is now, unplug it from the light. Say this is your bad one. Throw it in the trash. Do whatever you want. Real quick, while we're looking at it though, if you hadn't noticed, each of these has a lumen indicator that allows you to go at 2.7, 2700 lumens to 3000, 3500, 4000, and 5000 lumens. 5000 being the brightest and the more clinical light, and I set them all default to 5000. You can literally reach up, take one of these out, reach up inside the light, and click these over as you like and as you want with your hand, unless you have really big hands. Mine sometimes don't want to fit in there very well, and you may have a problem with that. Now, you're going to get the new one I send you. You'll get it. It'll be ready to go. Show you just real quick what I do. Here, I'm going to strip this wire. And then on this, I'll make these a little bit longer for you. Sometimes they're easier to work with if you got a little bit more of this wire. So there you have that. Now you're going to take the new one. You're going to push one of those set of wires aside. This one's a little shorter, and because this was snug up to it, you're going to want to feed these wires in like that. Lay it back down. You'll have the existing holes that you can use, and you just screw the new box back in. Now you've got these wires. This is your leads, and then you have these wires. Oh, and a hammer. The hammer will be just to tap those back in. Okay, so now we got that. Now I'm going to put these wires that were in there, and what I like to do is, sometimes if you got enough slack, normally you'll have enough slack on the wires I provide, but sometimes I have to do them tight depending on the light I'm using. So you want to be careful that you don't cut too much off just in the event of that. Now here, let me braid this back on a little bit. Feed this back through the hole where it was. Now I'm going to provide you 3 of these just so that you have, and 3 new wire nuts. You can reuse the old wire nuts, but you can only use these ones on the hard copper wire. You can't use it with the braided. I won't be using these. I'll be using the wire nuts on everything. So in whatever order you would like, you now want to take these wires and match them up. So here I will take the black wires, and then I'll just kind of twist them so that they're together, so that they stay together a little bit. I'll get all 3 wires, or 4 depending on which box, or even if it's just 2, depends on the box. Like this only has a connection with 2 wires, this has a connection with 3, and this has a connection with 4. Then you take the wire nut and you screw it on. You want them all twisted together evenly, and you'll screw this wire nut like I'm doing now. You'll screw this wire nut until it just feels like it's tight. And then I'll do a test. I'll pull on each of the wires to make sure they're connected in there as they are. Now I do the same thing. That was with the black wire. Now I'll do the same thing with the white wires. So take the new wire nut, do the same thing I did with the black. Try to hold them at the base underneath the wire nut. Turn this until it starts to bite. Then when it bites, give it a couple extra little turns and then check them. Because sometimes it'll turn like that and one of these will be loose and it'll pull right out. And then you will have caught a potential error. The ground, same concept. Green and copper in my lighting scenarios they're all the same. If it's just straight copper, or if it's got green insulation on it like this, it is ground. We're good there. Tuck them in there a little bit, make them look pretty. Shut the box. Verify that the lumens are set at the same as all the other ones so that you don't have one light that's duller or dimmer than the other one. You take your wire, your little wire tack, put that back now, there. Make sure your lights are all plugged in. Like I said, you line these up, tighten them up. And what I like to do is I'll just kind of like tuck it like this. I'll give them a little tuck back there so that they stay flat. This wires up to your electrical again. Light it is. There you have it. This is the Barnwood version of the Live Edge. Have a good one.